and welcome to a new episode of Prototype Youth Talent, where we provide a stage to our guests to share their vision and best practices on people development within organizations. I'm very happy with our guest today. She's a manager of people and operations within PricewaterhouseCoopers, and she's founder of the Inner Business School. She's a visionary of the future of work, and she's all about the employee experience. Today with us is Svenja. Svenja, really great that you're here today. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yes, sure. Thanks for inviting me. I work at PwC for almost 7 years, and there I do everything related to people and HR transformation. So it can be from a company wants to work agile, to new talent programs, to strategic workforce planning, to have our workforce ready for the future, to digital, upskilling. So very broad range, also diversity and inclusion. Mm-hmm. And next to it, what I really recognized that I want to reach also more the individuals, not only a transformation on the organization level, but really the individual. And therefore, I founded the Inner Business School. At the Inner Business School, I provide online trainings for millennials, mm-hmm. and they are for emotional intelligence-based personal and professional development.
Okay, and so that's it. Why specifically millennials in this case?
Yeah, because I'm a millennial.
Yeah, okay.
And I know most of the millennials I know, so my friends or my colleagues, at one point in time they come to a situation in which they say after 5 or 8 years of working, is that it? So is it my entire life that I have to go to the office at 9, stay there until 5 and just be in this red race, or shall I really step out, do my own, found my own company and do something completely else? Yeah. And what I realized for me is actually that a lot of people escape from certain situations and build something in the outer world, but then after a while, they again have the same problems, because in the end, you have something first to change inside yourself. Otherwise, you will always meet the same problems over and over again. Yeah,
so instead of treating symptoms, you have actually really go for the root cause and chase something from within.
Exactly, yeah.
So what we're always doing in these conversations is to first, for the audience to get to know you, to get to know Svenja. So could you share with us what personal development means to you?
Yeah, so I started my personal development journey with becoming a yoga teacher. So it was really a coincidence that I started to become a yoga teacher. It was a free class, and I thought I just started yoga and thought, oh, nice, a free class, I will sign up for that. Mm. And it was a yoga information evening to become a yoga teacher. And I was so convinced of the entire idea that I immediately signed up for that without being really flexible or having experience in yoga. But there, it was the first time that I experienced something like breathing or meditation or looking more inside and not always being chasing something in the outside world. And
the rat race you were talking about.
Exactly. So. And there and there is also part of spirituality I discovered. Before that, I thought, I don't want to have anything to do with this woo-woo world. But then I really started also with a personal development journey. So I follow different coaches. For example, they are more based in Germany, but I also, for example, one of my coaches, which I not of course in person, but more online, is Marie Folio, who I follow and do classes with her. But also the entire path of mindfulness and emotional intelligence.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so if you look at perhaps some of the challenges you have encountered so far in your life, could you share perhaps one challenge you faced so far in your career or in life, and how did you go about solving that challenge?
Yeah, so there were, of course, many challenges I had.
We're all human, right?
We're all human, exactly. And I mean, you have let's say these micro challenges in your daily work, where you just get an email where your client or a colleague or your boss is complaining about something because something didn't went the way it should went and expectations are not met. And then at this micro level involved challenges to step back and realize it's not about me. Mm-hmm. So it's a problem. There were different expectations, but in the end, it's not something personal. I really have to blame myself for something. Yeah. So to not take things too personal. Because, I mean, we're all human, and most of the time there's a problem in communication when these micro challenges in our daily work happens. Yeah. And bigger challenges, for example, when I moved to the Netherlands, it was quite a big step for me because I had to build up my entire social network again. I was completely overwhelmed in the beginning. I had a project for PwC I was working on, which was really challenging. And then like my head was it was so much. It was really so much to do, and I was so stressed. But then also to take then also here again, step back and put things in perspective. Mm-hmm. So to realize everything is not like you most of the things you're not going to die from. Yeah. And just to put in perspective, we're still here, and to see what is really important in your life. So it's more about health, that your family is good, that you, that's really the important things are good, and that you don't let yourself to stress too much from outer things.
Mm-hmm. And how does it feel right now?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I was really, since I stepped on the path of personal development about 4 years ago, I really see that I changed a lot in my life. So I'm much less stressed, even if it's a situation that something really more, something happens which is really a bit, how do you say it, like, really affecting me, that also there I can take a step back and see, okay, it's just something that happens. I see certain emotions coming up. I see it a bit more clearly, and without like these classes of, okay, I'm a victim of the situation, but to be a bit more, okay, like if you can't change things, be okay with that. Yeah. And if you can change things, then change it, but don't sit there and worry the entire time. Either do something or accept the situation the way it is. Yeah,
great. So on your LinkedIn profile, and I'm going to take my notes for this, you're stating as well, you're trying to cultivate compassion, curiosity, and creativity on the workplace. More work and no bullshit.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so what I really see in the corporate world, that it's sometimes just like a big game. So everyone has their own political agenda. Often we have meetings which are for a reason, that you just want to convince the other party or want to get certain information, but it's not actually that you want to collaborate or really want to together come a step further. And I just always imagine, like, if everyone just would speak up and would say what they really have on their mind, business could be so much easier if we can say or just call things the way they are, instead of this entire political game. So therefore I say just less bullshit and pure work, just do what is necessary. Also use a language which everyone understands, because as consultants I could speak for an hour almost over things without really
saying anything
without really content. Yeah. So
I've been there as well,
so you know that you just can play bullshit bingo all day long, just put some fancy buzzwords in a sentence and everyone thinks, oh yes, but in the end it's no content. And why I really think compassion, curiosity, and creativity is important is because these are really human unique skills which can't be automated. Like creativity is maybe discussion, but let's say imagination instead of creativity. And I mean, everything will be at one point will be digitized or automated. Mm-hmm. So then really the value which companies or people can add is really having these unique human skills, and I think we have to cultivate them more. And most of the time this is not something we learn in school, so we're really trained in school to use our intellect, our intellectual brain, our rational brain to absorb knowledge, to apply knowledge, but more these human unique skills like imagination, creativity, curiosity to really follow things you're interested in, compassion, is nothing that we really learn. And I think the world of work would look totally different if we have more of that in our daily work.
Yeah, interesting. More on that later on in our conversation, to delve to that. So looking at the employee experience, which is a big topic to you, could you explain for our audience what is this employee experience and what makes it so important nowadays?
Yeah, sure. So there are also a lot, when we come back to consulting bullshit bingo, we hear a lot of employee experience, employee journey,
engagement.
A new thing is employee value proposition.
All right.
So, but everyone uses these terms and just throws it like in, and it's often not clear what it is. So my definition of employee experience is how a person perceives the work environment, and it's very personal. So everyone has really their own experience, and it's on a technical, on a physical, and on a behavioral level.
Okay.
So everything which you relate to a company. It could also be that you sit on your Sunday morning at home and you read the paper and there is an article about the organization you work for.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're at a birthday party and someone asks you, what are you doing? And you say, I work for this and this company. Also, this is an experience. But also if you step in the morning into the office and the person at the reception says hello to you or not, then it's more a bad experience. So it's really broad and it's not really tangible. But why is it so important is that we actually move now from a service economy to a more experience economy. So organizations really where they can now make the difference is in selling a good experience. So it doesn't actually matter, like the coffee's almost everywhere the same.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes it different is the experience you have when buying the coffee. So do you have a barista who's really friendly? Does someone really write your name on the cup with a heart?
Mm-hmm.
That makes the experience, and this is something which is transferred by people. And their companies can really also, put quite a high surcharge on the products or services if they have a good experience. And as I said, they can be delivered by people only. So you also have to make sure that you provide your people with the best experience when they work for your company, that they in the end can provide the best experience to the customers. And
so optimize your employee experience so that your employees will optimize the customer experience.
Exactly, yeah.
So employees first, and they will take care of your customers.
Exactly. It's also a quote from Richard Branson,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he says, I think, if you first make your employees happy and the customers will be happy, if your employees are happy, kind of that. So
it's and I'm probably paraphrasing, but it's something like often people say that the customer should come first, but the employee should come first.
Exactly.
And the employees will take care of your customers.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice. So if you look at people development within organizations, what would be your definition of people development done in the right way?
I think what I often see in organization, what the problem is now, that people development is really a formal part. So it's really part of the learning and the development curriculum. But I think learning and development, development is really something which happens much more on the work floor. So it happens actually daily. If you get a good feedback from your manager, not that it's positive, but it can also be critical feedback, but that you have always the chance to learn something. And there's also a model that actually only 10% of learning happens within the classroom and 70% on the work floor.
Are you referring to Jennings, his 70-20-10 model?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, familiar with it, yes.
And I think it's so much more important now that companies realize that this micro learning, which happens on the work floor, is really the 70%, and then actually train the people more, especially managers or people in the organization have kind of a people responsibility to be better coaches and that we learn to give each other good feedback, and that it's not always that we say, oh yeah, you did it well, but in the end I think, oh, what did he do? It's really crap. But really to create safety that we can give each other good feedback and that we can learn.
Yeah.
And I think if this is more like, I think more investment on a behavioral level to create a safe space that we can learn also from each other instead only or primarily investing in the formal trainings.
Yeah, so really learning from together with each other on the work floor and not necessarily only trainings, workshops.
Exactly.
Because there's tons of learning among colleagues everywhere. So if you look at talent development and people development, what would you say makes it succeed in organizations? So what is required for that definition of people development done right?
I think it's that it must be relevant. So sometimes you go to training or development program, but you don't really need the skills you learn or the competencies then afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So it must be really relevant that you immediately can apply it, and also in such a way that it will be afterwards also, kind of that you are enforced to do something with it. So that it's follow up on that, that also training programs of development programs are not only like a 2-day classroom training, but that there's really something before and after which is happening. And in the end, that you stimulate people more, that they do it intrinsically, for example, that they have to then after training, that they really have to, for example, to start to journal and think about their motivation and goals and really do it for themselves. So to ignite like the spark, that they do it for themselves and not only because you just had to do it because your employer said so.
Yeah. So could I summarize that in 2 points? It should not be a hit and run. So there should be follow-up afterwards where you can actually also apply the things you have learned.
Yeah.
And the second one would also be, I just lost it actually, so what was the second one?
That you really should motivate people to do it from.
So it should be really intrinsically motivated.
Yeah.
So first of all, follow up after the session, and the other one should be the intrinsically motivated, driven part of it. Yes. So that's a way to make it work. What could make people development fail in organizations? So when doesn't it work?
Yeah, if it's just a program you're sent to, which has no relevance at all for you, or often what I see, also if I give trainings to my clients, that they learn something, but they can't apply it. For example, I really give a lot of agile ways of working training, but then the entire company was not ready to work in that way, and the manager, they still micromanage the team. So then the people should work agile and should be very work in a very autonomous way. Yeah. But if you then come back after the training and your manager is still micromanaging you and wants to sit on top of everything instead of just giving the vision and a why, I mean, then you learn something, but you don't apply it because you know it's just not the way the company works, and there's more like a cultural shift needed or in behavior instead of just learning a process. Yeah.
And what can you do, what can organizations do to remove these obstacles, or to really make sure that what you learn during your training is implemented in an organization?
I think before thinking about which trainings you want to offer, it's important to see, okay, where as an organization are we at? Mm-hmm. Is this where we want to be? Where do we want to go? And are our people ready? And is the behavior of the people the behavior we want to see? Yeah. And I think only if this is happening, or if this is already in the transformation process in the way we want to go to, then you can add trainings to that. But if you just everything, like I say, on an organizational level, of a procedural level, like technology level, everything stays the same, and you just think I will do some trainings and then everything will change, it won't be a success.
Yeah. So if you want to get from A to B, you should definitely be aware on where you're actually now. Be honest about that, and to make sure that you take the right step for that moment, and not just do a training anyway, and then hope it will change for the better.
So see it more holistically.
If you're a future work visionary as well, and you already also talked about the role of IT, role of people. If we look at 5 to 10 years from now, what will be the role of IT and people and their interrelation together?
So for IT is for me really an enabler. So it's not IT or technology will never solve really like big issues. It's always an enabler for people to make our life better. Or at least it should be that way. Yeah. And I think organizations will be really IT driven into the future, and that, for example, if we look really at HR or people development, that like all the administrative tasks or repetitive tasks within HR, they will just be kind of done by a technological solution, and that really people who are responsible for people or HR within a company, that they can really focus on the personal and professional development. So because all these obstacles are then removed thanks to technology, and then it's really about, okay, how can we use your skills best in this company? What are your goals and how do they align with our goals as a company, and how can we find the best way of collaboration. And this not in a 40-hour work week, but just, okay, what can you contribute to our company, and then just do it without that you have to track the time. So it's much more output driven, and then also enabled by technology, of course.
Yeah. What kind of limitations do you currently see in organizations which prevents for people to really thrive and give output to and provide value to their organization?
So what I see and what I experience myself is that you are busy with so many things which are not adding value. So you're still often trapped in kind of administrational work, or you just have to attend so many meetings which not really add value. That you have still this 40-hour working week, so you have to be just sometimes there, even if your brain is really done for the day, and you don't get any straight thought or any good idea anymore out from your head onto a PowerPoint slide or something. So we still actually live in a world, or in a world of work which is very much based still on the industrial age, and now we use a lot of people working in office, we only use very highly cognitive skills, and it's just not something you can force to be now creative, or to be now really sharp. If you can't force your brain to do that, and we still try to squeeze that in this 40-hour standard working week with coming to the office at 9 and leaving at 5. Yeah, I think there's still, you're right, this very old paradigm from the industrial age where you have to make more hours to be more productive. And I think this paradigm comes in organizations also. They would rather have people who show up 40 hours a week and are 8 hours productive, instead of people who show up 8 hours a week and are for 40 hours productive. So personally, I also have this feeling sometimes that I know that I can be more productive because I'd have to do a lot of creative work, and I know that I can be more productive by working less hours and taking care of my life, social, sports, exercising. But sometimes there's still this little voice that says, you only work for 4 hours a day, you've done a lot of work, but perhaps you should work more, or should work even more hours because you have not worked for 8 hours today. How is this for you? Is this something that you just say, okay, I've been really productive today, I don't feel guilty at all about not working 8 hours, or how do you go about this? I totally feel guilty most of the time. I'm not the only one. If I work less, or if I work less hours, but maybe already did more outcome or output, which I normally do in 8 hours, and then I really feel guilty because still we are paid for the hours we make. So it's that's the way how most of us are rewarded. But I think it's also something to just learn from the beginning of your life, so that already in school you have this very strict schedule where you have to what you have to do, when you have to be there, when you leave. So it's just something, I think, this feeling of guilt, something we it's also in our education and upbringing. But also, of course, our parents. They are another generation, and it's we're nurtured in a certain way to see the world in a certain way, and I think from very young age, being in school, it's about showing up. It's not necessarily about output alone. It's mostly also that you have to be there. And you have to make the same hours as everybody else, and you have to put in the work, which I think is good. But I also think that sometimes it works in a negative way on your productivity. And that sometimes you can better work for 4 hours a day than put in those 8 to 12 hours. Take a good sleep, have some exercises, see your friends, and then be way more creative, productive afterwards. Definitely, So let's try to be strong and teach each other to really do that as well. If we're going to look at the future, could you share with us, Svenja, where do you want to go? What is your ambition for the future? So I still want to see myself in 5 or 10 years still working in the corporate world, but still also developing further my own in my own business around inner business school. So really trying to help individuals that they really work on their emotional intelligence skills and use that for professional development. But I still really see my place within the corporate world, because I see that I have can make quite a big impact. I have a very short line to decision makers within HR. And I think, if I really want to make a change, I want to make the change at the place where I am, and that's the corporate world, and then inspire people around me to do the same, rather than being like outside and try to tell people how it works.
Yeah.
So, but I'm really curious how the world of work will change, if we maybe in 5 years that we really don't have 40-hour contracts anymore, but are rewarded by the output we deliver.
What is your hope for the future? How the world of work will change?
Yeah, so less bullshit, definitely. Just say what is on your mind and save all this energy and to follow hidden political agendas. That really would make business so much easier. That we use technology in a way that it really helps us, instead of being actually the slave of technology. So that we really find a way that technology will be an enabler. Yeah,
that we elevate our humanity instead of being a slave of our technology.
Exactly. And I think in general, then the third thing, also a bit what you just said, it's really human upskilling. So that we really think about what makes us unique as humans, and can we nurture that more? So already starting from school, so that you're less focused on intellectual skills, because knowledge is just, you just get it. We have Google, we don't have to know everything in our brain, but just learn more what is really more important, like something like compassion or connection, and more the ability to change yourself and adapt to new situations.
So already this power of introspection, learning, being compassionate toward others,
and to yourself.
To yourself, and that's an important one. You're right. Thanks for sharing that one as well. What we always time always flies during these kinds of conversations. We always finish our Prototype You Talent interviews with conversations with one question, and that is, what can organizations do today to improve their talent development? So what can organizations start doing today to improve their talent development?
I think would really make a huge impact is that looking at which kind of people do you promote, or make a difference between managers and leaders. Because a manager is more like that you manage the people, really like doing the work, that you really look, okay, can they do this, micromanagement. And as a leader, it's really focusing more about, okay, how can I help the people to do something better? Mm-hmm. And if you more give people the chance who are really good leaders, instead of be really good like technically, or be good salespeople, to have more these people with these human qualities at the top of an organization, and they have intrinsically the motivation to develop other people, to let other people shine, instead of just trying to get the best out of them for yourself, to position yourself in a certain way. So I think that would be a great change in organization. Also that you, for example, performance management, that you reward these kind of skills, which are more leader skills instead of management skills. Yeah.
So really leaders who work in service of their people.
Exactly.
To bring out the best in people, to make them develop, instead of telling them what to do and how to do it.
Exactly. So I think the shift from managers to leaders would be a big impact on talent development. And then you come back to that talent development is a lot like more this formal interaction on the workflow, instead of only formal courses and trainings.
Yes, right. Svenja, thanks for sharing all your insights. I've learned a lot, so thanks for that. I wish you the best of luck for the future in corporate life, so PricewaterhouseCoopers, but also for inner business school. For our audience, where can they reach you? How can they reach out to you if they would like to know more about you?
So, of course, on LinkedIn. You will find me on LinkedIn. I also have a website. It's svenjacarolin.com. But you also find this information on LinkedIn. Of course, you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, so on all social media channels, and then just with my name.
All right, great. So reach out to Svenja. She is, as you can see, she knows really a lot about the employee experience, future of work, and so once more, it was great talking to you. So thanks.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And also for the viewers, this is a wrap for our episode of Prototype Youth Talent. Hope to see you in a next episode. All right, bye bye.
Bye.